Rick Bayless, and I've been exploring, cooking, and eating in Mexico for over 40 years. Now I'm taking you to Mexico City for a deep dive into the classic dishes you've asked to learn. It's time to share my best recipes ever. Churros. It's absolutely at the top of the list for me for fried pastries. I mean, I love donuts and elephant ears and funnel cakes, but a freshly fried churro, it has no equal. Now, it's a very, very simple, very thick dough that is forced through a heavy churro press right into the oil. And when it's bobbed around in there long enough to get crispy and golden, it gets tossed with a little granulated sugar, maybe a little cinnamon mixed in. And then it's served in a perfect world with hot chocolate. So I've brought you to this place called Churreria El Moro in the Centro Histórico, the historic center of downtown Mexico City. The place has been here since 1935 and it's open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, serving nothing but churros and chocolate. And when I lived in Mexico City many decades ago, I lived within walking distance of here, which meant that I could indulge my love for churros frequently. Now, everybody wants to know about that distinctive shape of a churro. Why is it sort of indented all the way around? Well, it's because the dough is so thick that if you don't give those ridges on the outside, it'll never get done on the inside. Plus, it gives you a lot more crunchy exterior to enjoy. Now, you can find churros all over Mexico. You can find them all over Spain, where they were invented, and all over Latin America, wherever the Spaniards conquered. But the ones here in Mexico City, this thin style has always remained my absolute favorite. And why the name churro? Well, it refers to a variety of sheep, yes, I said sheep, from Spain that has the same sort of look, the indented woolen fleece all the way around it. Now, most people would expect that since churros originated in Spain, chocolate must originate in Spain too. I mean, everybody knows that European chocolate is really great. It couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, chocolate is from Mexico. And when the chocolate was taken to Spain, they added milk to it. That came back, and now we have what we think of as classic Mexican hot chocolate, milk with the local or native chocolate here. Now, in a place like Churreria El Moro, they offer a variety of flavors in their chocolate, from the very light, what they call Mexicano, to one that is scented with vanilla, all the way to this one that I have in front of me, which is Especial. And that's the one that's got a bittersweet taste to it. Por favor, me gustaría uno relleno de cajeta, por favor. Now, I'm not usually a guy that likes filled churros. I mean, you've seen them probably. They're on the streets, they're cold. They're made with this special dye that leaves a hole in the middle of them, and then they fill them with all kinds of gunky things. That's just not my style, because I like fresh-made churros. Muy bien, muchas gracias. except I make exception at this place. This is Churros Jordan. They make them in a different way. They just have a large die, so they're making a really fat churro, and then when it comes out of the fryer, they poke a hole down in it, and they fill it with all different kinds of really cool fillings, toppings. I mean, it just drizzles down over the whole thing. So this one is cajeta, which is the goat's milk caramel, which I absolutely love. But they also have one filled with chocolate. There's a guava one. There's one with cream cheese and blackberry and tequila. Last time I was here, I had one filled with tequila. It's this mixture of sweetened condensed milk and tequila. It is so good. It's my moment. Just look how beautiful this little chocolate making cart is. They've got this traditional chocolate beating vessel. This is one that you find down in the Yucatan Peninsula for making each cup of hot chocolate, and then all of these different varieties, flavors of chocolate. There's an anise flavored one with chile ancho. I see a coffee flavored one there in the back, but I've decided that I'm gonna go with the suggestion of the chef. Now this place is owned by my friend, Chef Ricardo Munoz Zurita, and his special blend is the chocolate with something called Rosita de Cacao, which is a very flowery, herbal kind of flavor that you see a lot down in Oaxaca, especially associated with chocolate, and then ginger and vanilla. It sounds absolutely delicious to me. So, señor, por favor, me gustaría una taza con agua del sugerencia del chef.
Okay, muy bien.
Here at Azul Histórico, they start by adding a few spoonfuls of that chocolate blend into the wooden vessel before pouring in hot water. Yes, water. Remember, before the Spaniards arrived, all hot chocolate here was made with water. Then the chocolate and water are beaten with a traditional molinillo.
Son granos seleccionados del estado de Tabasco y Chiapas, procesados o preparados en Oaxaca. Normalmente el chef Ricardo lo recomienda tomarlo con agua, como se tomaba anteriormente. Lo recomienda tomarlo tibio para así apreciar la característica del chocolate.
And finally, it's served in a warm ceramic cup.
El chocolate se debe dar en la mano, como es una bebida ancestral que solamente lo podían tomar los reyes.
Muchas gracias.
Provecho, señor.
Wow, you get all of those flavors. You get the ginger, you get the vanilla, you get the floweriness of the Rosita de Cacao. But to tell you the truth, it takes me right to Oaxaca, because in Oaxaca, people still prefer their chocolate to be made with water. And it just allows the chocolate to bloom forth in a way that you never find when you make the chocolate with milk. We're here in Choco. That's our quick service restaurant here in Chicago that specializes in hot chocolate and churros. And this is my daughter, Lainey. She's the spirits director for all of our Chicago restaurants.
Typically I work with cocktails, tequilas, mezcals, but some of my favorite beverages that we have are here in Choco, and it's all the hot chocolate.
We buy our chocolate beans from the Mexican state of Tabasco, toast them in an oven, then put them in a machine that winnows and cracks the nibs. That's all ground with some Mexican cinnamon until it's beautiful and glossy and ready to be made into a delicious beverage.
My favorite thing to do with Mexican chocolate is to turn it into hot chocolate. And it's super simple, but if you haven't done it before, let me step you through the process. You can do it with water, or I like to do it with milk. I mean, you could do it the old-fashioned way by using a molinillo and mixing everything together in a pitcher, but let's be honest, I like to do it the easy way. So I'm gonna do it using a blender. So we're gonna start with the chocolate. As you know, Mexican chocolate is comprised of chocolate, sugar, and a little bit of cinnamon. You always want to find the ones with the highest chocolate content. You can find some really cool sort of small handcrafted ones at well-stocked grocery stores or online. So we're going to start by breaking it up and putting it directly into the blender. Once the milk is warm and you see a little bit of steam coming off the sides, it's ready to pour in the blender. Now we're ready to blend it all together. Don't forget, when you're blending hot liquid, you've got to take the top out of the blender cap before you start anything, just to avoid a mess and let the steam escape. It's beautiful and frothy. I've got to take a taste. Perfect for a Sunday morning.
Now, I love a good cup of Mexican hot chocolate, but to tell you the truth, during the winter months, I actually will choose Champurrado. So Champurrado is the chocolate version of a drink called atole in Mexico. Atole is thickened with masa, the same dough that's used to make corn tortillas, and milk, and all kinds of other things can go in there, but the chocolate version is fantastic. If you turn that drink into ice cream, it is astonishingly good. So that's what I'm going to show you how to make, this chocolate champurrado ice cream. But first we have to make the champurrado, and I'm going to combine a lot of ingredients here in this blender jar, starting with the milk to make the champurrado. The second thing, of course, will be the chocolate part of it. So I'm going to break up these rounds of Mexican chocolate. And then the masa that thickens it, what I prefer to do, the easiest thing, is just to use the masa harina, the powdered masa mix that you can buy in pretty much every grocery store these days. So I'll put that in here. And of course, this is a sweetened beverage, so I'll put the sugar in there. The last ingredient, I like to boost the cinnamon. The cinnamon that is so much associated with Mexican chocolate, but for making an ice cream base, I actually like to put more of it in there. So this is the classic Mexican cinnamon canela, what's oftentimes called true cinnamon. It's not as hard as the cinnamon that we get in the United States, so you can easily break it up like that. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is to pulverize this kind of cinnamon, this canela or true cinnamon, in a mortar. Well, that would be almost impossible with the typical American cinnamon sticks. And the aroma is spectacular. This is a more flowery type of cinnamon than what we have in the United States typically. Okay, so that goes in. And then I'm going to turn on the blender and make this mixture as smooth as possible. Now, just in case some of the chocolate didn't get completely pulverized in there, I'm going to pour this through a strainer, just a medium mesh strainer. Look like we did a pretty good job with all of that. And then this goes over medium heat, and I'm going to whisk it until it comes to a full boil. So this is ready now to be completely chilled. I'm going to pour it into a bowl that is set over an ice bath. Now you'll maybe say, oh, your champurrado is too thick. I made it a little thick because I want to make this a really creamy ice cream. But we have to chill it quickly, and we have to chill it very thoroughly. I'm going to stir this until it becomes cool, then refrigerate it for a couple of hours. Actually, it's best to refrigerate it overnight for the best textured ice cream. And then to this chilled base, I'm going to add a couple of cups of cream and then just stir it until it's thoroughly incorporated. Now it's time to freeze this mixture. And to tell you the truth, for home use, I am a really big fan of the frozen bowl ice cream makers. So that's what I'm going to use today. So this bowl has been in the freezer for over 24 hours. So that ensures that it is very, very cold. I will pour in our ice cream base now and then secure the paddle. Turn it on. It'll take about 20-25 minutes or so for this to thoroughly freeze. It'll be the consistency of soft serve ice cream when it's ready. Once your champurrado ice cream is ready, transfer it to a freezer-safe container so that it can do what the ice cream makers call ripening. That will take a couple of hours in the freezer for it to firm enough to serve. You know, the dough for churros could not be simpler. In the classic kitchen, it's called a panade. That means boiling some water and adding flour to it and stirring it till it comes together. So start by heating some water over medium-high heat. Then add a good amount of salt, some sugar, and let it come to a rolling boil before adding all-purpose flour. So in it goes. Now at this point, you need to stir quickly until the flour is absorbed into the liquid and it all comes together as a very stiff dough. Okay, so turn off the heat, and we're going to let that cool for a little bit while we talk about how you make these into the churro shape, the classic churro shape. You can imagine with something that stiff that it's not going to be the easiest part of this. Simple dough, but difficult to get it into churro shape. Of course, everybody would think first about using a piping bag with a fluted tip. Yeah, you can do that, but it has to be a heavy-duty piping bag, and it'll be a lot of work. That's why they sell these inexpensive churro presses, and you can buy them on the internet. So you undo that side, you can see the plunger there. So you just pack this canister with that really stiff dough, secure this part of it, and then you can twist this down, pressing that churro dough out and into the hot oil. I've got to let that cool for just a couple of minutes before I can go on with the forming and the frying. I'm going to pack this really stiff dough into here. Get that really tightly secured. And then it's starting to come out now. So I'm going to do just a little test churro to see how this is going to come out. So I've got this at about 375 degrees. I always do frying with a thermometer because fluctuation in temperature can ruin whatever it is that you're frying. And always choose a really good quality oil to fry in, especially one that is made for frying. Inexpensive vegetable oils often are not. So this is beautiful, meaning that I've got the temperature of the oil exactly right. When I cut into it, remember this is going to be really hot, I can see that there's a little bit of creaminess still right at the very center. That's what I'm looking for. So now it's time to make churros.
me wrong. I love traditional churros and all, but there's also a much easier way to do them, which doesn't require one of those fancy presses or anything. I like to make little churro bites. So all you have to do is take the dough and roll it until it's just about 3/4 of an inch thick. Now we'll go ahead and cut them into little squares. So now I'm just gonna flatten them a little bit and give them some ridges to look like traditional churros using a fork. So, about ready for me to borrow some of that oil?
Actually, I exactly am. I'm just taking out these 2 right now, and you can start putting your little churro bites in here.
Great.
Be very careful. This hot oil. Okay, now is the moment to do the sugar and cinnamon.
Great.
So I just have some regular organic sugar here because that's the flavor that I like. It's a little bit more robust than regular white sugar. And some Mexican cinnamon to sprinkle over the top of it and mix into it. Another thing that you might want to do is take a little Mexican chocolate, grind it up and mix it in here too. That's delicious. And so now we can start our coating process here. So each one of them gets rolled nicely in the cinnamon sugar. I like the crunch of this kind of granulated sugar rather than any kind of a glaze on the top of it. Okay, beautiful. Let's go check that ice cream.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
Looking good.
It is. Why don't you put some whipped cream on there? Oh, nice. I'll reach over and put some of these little churro bites over
Yes.
that. And now it's your turn to do the chocolate sauce. Are we having chocolate ice cream and hot chocolate?
Well, we can't let the good work go to waste now, can we? Ah, the best.
This is my favorite moment. Shall we?
I think we should.
Came out beautiful.
So good. I could eat this every day. I think I could.
Me too.